Folklore the Affliction is a great example of taking a role-playing game and converting it to a board game. This is a great adventure campaign system that has an open world element to it. So if you don't want to follow the adventure journals, you can just kind of explore the world and pick up side quests. The adventure journals are fantastic with just a touch of choose your own adventure sprinkled in on them. Great story, great lore, great background. However, the game does have some table management issues, especially if you're playing solo. So in this video, what I want to talk about are some of the solutions I've come up with to better manage this game on the table so that you can be more immersed in the story. So let's get into this. Welcome to Solitary RPG. Since the end of 2023 and even currently January of 2024, Greenbrier Games has been dramatically discounting Folklore the Affliction up to 75% off. I don't know if they're going to discontinue this game line or maybe they're getting ready to launch a third edition of the game. When the sale was going on, I was like, hey, I should pull out my copy and start playing it. And when I did, some of the same problems I've had with the game in the past kind of crept back up, and is one of the reasons why I don't get this game on the table as much as I would like to. And I decided I was going to take some time and really try to figure out how to better organize the components for this game so that it can be a lot more immersive on the table. So let me kind of walk through some of the things that I am doing for organizing this game and actually managing my characters on the table when I'm playing so that I don't have as many components or I'm not looking for certain components when I'm setting up adventures, just to make everything a lot easier. So let me clear my desk and we'll just kind of go through this one step at a time. First thing we're going to take a look at are all the counters or the tokens that are used in Folklore the Affliction. Now, I do not use the standees for my game. I actually have the miniatures, and I will use those on the board. If I did have the standees, I would probably have to keep them in a separate box by themselves, simply because of the number of them that you would have. But for all of the other tokens and counters, I have them all in one box. Now I own all the expansion material for this game. So I have the 3 box sets, plus I have all the additional cards. So once you have everything for this game, you have a lot of stuff. And keeping track of it and keeping it organized can be challenging. And that's why I found these acrylic storage containers. Got these from Michael's, and I've seen them at Hobby Lobby as well. They're just a clear acrylic container with all these round containers inside of them. And now with this game, you're actually going to notice you have a lot of different size counters. You have some that fill the complete container, but they're still loose enough to where you can just pop them right out, so they're not getting damaged in any way, shape, or form. And then you have some that are a little bit smaller, and then you have weird shaped ones. These are their search clues. These are a chalice or some sort of a cup. I don't know exactly what it is. I haven't run across it, but I have a bunch of them. And then I have a second one with even more stuff. And yeah, so you have a lot of these counters or these tokens. And what I like about having these clear storage trays for them is when I need to find a token for a scenario that I'm setting up, it's a lot easier for me to just look over the 2 trays that I have, find the counters and tokens that I need. That way I'm not wasting time looking through bags or other types of storage solutions. This just kind of makes it look, it's just right there. I can see everything, and just makes finding them really easy. And what's really great about these counters is on the back side, you have the printed meaning of what they are. So that way you can tell, like, if you're not sure if this is holy water or not, you can just turn it over and it says holy water. So you know exactly what it is. But yeah, this really helps keep my counters and my tokens organized. And once you've set up your game, these can just get put back in the box. You don't need to keep them on your table. And that's the kind of table management that I'll be talking about primarily in this video. Is most of the components for this game aren't needed once you start playing it. And you can just keep them off your table, and that just helps keep your table better organized, especially if you're playing solo. Because when you're playing solo, you have a couple characters on, there's a lot to keep track of. And you want to what I've tried to do was eliminate a lot of the things that you have to keep on the table, and this is one of those examples. I actually have the metal token for keeping track of the day and night. Then I have more tokens. So these are condition tokens. I just found one of these small little plastic trays at like the dollar store, and it fits all the tokens nicely. And again, these are condition tokens, and on the back of them, it tells you what the condition is. If I end up having to use these for my game, I just pull this tray out, get the token that I need, and then put it, close the tray and put it off my table. I don't leave them out on my table. There's no reason to. Then I have these are all my odd tokens. So these are for different adventures. I got some alligators. These are actually miniatures also. I should probably get rid of these because I actually have the miniatures. But some of this stuff is not represented by miniatures. So I just keep them in a little container like this. On the side here, I still have a lot of the larger monster tokens and different effect tokens. And I primarily keep those in this box to keep this from shifting until I need to put something else here. Those are going to stay, but right now they're just there to keep this from shifting around. Then in a separate bag, I keep my flags for my initiative board, plus my books and my mirrors. Just because they're oddly shaped tokens, they don't really fit in anything else, and I need these on a regular basis because I actually play with the initiative board. This was introduced from Fall of the Spire, and it is a great way to improve combat. And basically the way this works is you have initiative cards, which we'll show when we start talking about my card management. But you'll have initiative cards for the PCs and initiative cards for the foes. You're going to draw a card for your player characters. You're going to draw a card for your foe characters. You can draw 2 cards if you want for your players and 2 for your foes if you want. That's all they really give you numbers for. For your player characters, if you're going to roll a d10 and you're going to basically place the flag wherever you rolled for your player characters. And then these tokens here will go on the cards. The cards give you benefits during your turn in combat. And once you've placed your cards for both your PCs and your encounters, you're going to then roll a d10 for your characters, and wherever they land, they're going to go on the board. Same thing for the monsters. There's mechanics for moving up and down, but the goal is to try to get your PCs on one of these spots where the cards are, because the cards are going to give you a benefit. Most people use the ghost standees or the ghost miniatures to track their playing characters on the initiative board. I don't do that. I just use dice. So I have a variety of different solid colored dice, and what I'll do is assign a color to my characters when I'm setting them all up and getting things going. I pretty much only run 2 characters, so I'll make 1 white, 1 black. And I'll use the dice on the initiative board and just put them down on the initiative board. And then the second D10 I use when I'm rolling. So I know if I got the white dice, I'm rolling for 1 character. If I got the black one, I'm rolling for the other one. Monsters are always red. That's just how it is. So that's the initiative board and how I use the dice for the initiative board versus having characters on the table. So really, I'm just trying to keep my table clear of clutter and having the standees out, the ghost tokens out, or the miniatures out. It's just more stuff on the table. I'd rather just use the D10 system, because that way when I'm not using the initiative tracker, I'm still using the D10s for gameplay, and it's a lot easier just to throw the D10 back in my little dice tray or my dice storage, and I don't have to worry about it. It's not getting in my way, and I can always just shut this and put it off to the side. So that is this portion of it. You're also going to notice I have a bag of D6s here, just generic white D6s. I use these for a variety of different things during gameplay as counters. One of the things you're going to notice on some of the counter tokens that we have for the game, holy water is a great example. It gets used by the cleric. You see these numbers 4, 3, 2, 1. That is a countdown feature. When you fill the cleric's weapon with the holy water, it's only good for 4 rounds, and the idea is you're supposed to rotate this token after each round after you filled his weapon, and it just doesn't work for me. It's just a personal thing. So what I do is I just use a D6, and I just use it as a countdown. There's all kinds of other ones with countdown features in it. I can also use these to represent the minions on the initiative board. They're just good to have a small little collection of dice, white generic D6s on your table for the variety of different things. I actually have some colored ones inside, red and black, for maybe my characters or something more specific. But I use these for just a lot of the different countdown features in this game. So that is how I manage all my counters or my tokens for this game, and my dice in these just cool little storage compartments. So that way when I'm looking for one of these, I'm not wasting time. And when you're playing the game, you're going through a story and you're going from page to page in your story, and it's like, well, you need to find these markers and this, that, and the other thing. It's just so much easier to look at them in these clear trays, find the ones you need, get it set up so that you can jump right back into the game. Now we're going to take a look at card management. Folklore the Affliction has a lot of different cards, and they're also different sizes. And a lot of these cards just don't need to be on the table when you're playing your game. You can actually just kind of put them away once you're done with certain aspects of your game or after you've built your characters. So let me break down the cards. I strongly recommend these. These keep track of your Vita and your PowerPoints. These come in really handy, especially since the mechanic that the core game comes with is kind of just doesn't work good on the table. It's even using dice to track this just doesn't work good. I find these just work so much better. And the way you're supposed to keep track of power points and Vita is you're supposed to take these cards, and you got this little blue arrow here, and you're supposed to just keep track of your numbers and counting them down this way. And this just doesn't work. They should have just included these with the game, because this actually works. These are just typical spin down dials. And what I like about them is, since I use the miniatures, I just keep my miniature on the dial for that particular character. And then when we go into an encounter, I just keep it in front of me, knowing, I got this character on my left, this character on my right, so I can keep track of this information. Or I can just keep it on their character card. I'm actually thinking about just getting Post-it notes and just writing their name on it and just putting a Post-it note across the top of it, just like a little strip. And that way I know which character is which. But yeah, so if you can get a hold of these, I think they're still available on the website. When I ordered like 2 packs of these for some odd reason. I don't know why. But those are in this box, and these are actually really cool. So much better than these. These are all the character cards, and what I do is I keep all my character cards separated by the different expansions of Fall of the Spire, the Dark Tide, and the main game. They come in bags already, so I just keep them separate. I keep all my creatures in bags, and I actually keep these on the table, and I have my little card holder, and I just put them in the back. That way when I need a particular card, I can just pull it out. You will be referring to these quite a bit. And then I have all of the poker size cards in a 400 count storage box, and mine are all sleeves, so they really fill up this. And then I have all of my mini cards in these little trays. So let's go through how I have my card box organized. First, I keep a bookmark on top. This comes in handy when you're going through the adventure journal and you have to flip pages. It's just a quick and easy way to mark where you are in your book. I believe this came in one of the expansion packs, where I think it's the one I got the world event cards in and some other components. But this is just a really nice thing to have. So I have my cards in this deck box, and they're broken down like this. I have the rumor cards. Rumor cards are great when you're on the world map and you're visiting a town. You can go to the tavern. You can pull a rumor card, and these are like little side quests. And this is one of the ways that this game kind of has that open world feel, because you don't have to follow the adventure journals. You can just go do these little side quests in the game, and they're just a lot of fun. And they're a great way to kind of give your characters a little bit of that experience if you're really close to going to the next level. Maybe take care of some of these rumor cards and go fight some other creatures, and maybe gain some additional experience. They're really neat. Then I have the town events. These actually get used, I believe, mainly in Fall of Spire, because that is actually a town adventure setting where you're actually in a town, and these are the events that can take place when you're playing that game. These are the road events. So one of the other elements that give this game kind of that open world feel are the road events and the off-road events. Because when you stop on the road, you'll pull one of these cards, depending on if it's day or night, something will happen. And some of these things aren't that exciting. Maybe you just run into somebody and nothing happens. Sometimes you just lose a little Vita. Sometimes you gain an item or something. They're all different. They're all kind of cool. Obviously, the night ones are a little bit more dangerous than the day ones. But those are the road event cards. Then you have the off-road event cards. Again, if you're traveling off-road, it's a lot more dangerous. Other things can happen, and these are just all the event cards that can take place. And then you have the world event cards. And the world event cards are a little bit different. These are a global effect to the game that can affect you, and also encounters and all kinds of other things that take place. And these world event cards are just really cool. Just adding a little bit more to the story, some more challenges for you to face when playing the game. So yeah, so I keep all my cards in this deck box, and when I'm on the world map, I will have this deck box out because I'll need to pull road event cards and off-road event cards. And if I go to a town on the map, I'll pull a rumor card if I go to the tavern. If I'm playing Fall of the Spire, I might keep it out because of these town event cards. But I just keep everything in this deck box. I don't pull the cards out and have piles of them on the table. I just kind of thumb through, pull the card out that I need, and when I'm done with them, I'll put them towards the back of the deck. And then before I play another game, I'll take all the cards out, shuffle them up. But I just keep them in here. If I'm not playing Fall of the Spire and I'm just doing the world map, once I'm done with the world map though, these can just come off the table. They don't need to stay on the table because you're only using the majority of these cards for the road map, and you have that one deck you're going to use for Fall of the Spire. The item cards, now these are going to be kept out all the time. You do not want to keep these put away. You're going to be pulling items when you're on the world map, and also when you are on the combat mats or the little 12 by 12 maps. The way I keep my cards organized, the item cards, I follow a lot of the suggestions from Daniel over at the Dungeon Dive, and my item cards are all broken down by category. I keep them in these little storage boxes. I get them at the craft store. They actually fit a poker card really nice, and they fit mini cards nicely, but I don't want them to get mixed up, so I did a little craft project. I took a piece of cardboard, cut to the height of my storage box, glued on a piece of cardstock, and this way when I put my cards in them, they don't get mixed up, and this way I can pull them out real easily, and I got everything readily available. But my item cards, I will actually at the beginning of the game pull these out and put them in my little card holder, and I'll be done. The ability cards, there's a lot of ability cards. You only grab ability cards at the beginning of your game when you're setting up your character. And if you gain any abilities through leveling up or other means, you grab ability cards. But for the most part, you can just keep those off your table once you're set up. Equipment pack. Now this was an expansion pack, and basically what this is, it's all of the equipment found on the character cards when you're setting them up. Like this particular piece of equipment is a silver sickle, and you would find that in this. So these are the specific pieces of equipment just for the characters. Have no use once you've set up your character, so you can keep those off to the side. And then I have one here. This keeps a lot of the different cards. So these are the initiative cards for the initiative tracker board. These are great. What you do is you get some bonuses for your characters, and you get some other negative things for your encounters if they happen to be on the same spot where these cards are at. This one's Savage Strike. So 4 to 5 characters plus 1 melee damage, 3 characters plus 2 melee damage, 2 characters plus D4 to melee damage. So when I'm playing with 2 characters, if one of my characters happens to be on the spot where this card is, they get to add a D4 to their melee damage. So really cool stuff. This is probably one of the best improvements to this game, making combat feel just a little bit better. And I'm constantly changing this up every time I have a skirmish or a combat. I'm redrawing these cards. So these I will keep readily available. I don't have to keep them on the table at all times though. I can keep them in my little tuck box or my little plastic tote box here. And then when I have an encounter, then I pull this out, pull the cards out, pull the ones I need, put them back in, put this away. I don't need to keep it out. Keep everything else out on the table while I'm having my combat, and then I'm good to go. It's all about table management, keeping stuff off the table. The rest of the cards are the rituals and the prayers. Don't really need to have these out after you set up your character. During gameplay, you might get to pull one of these out for your game, but they don't need to be kept out all the time, and the tarot cards aren't used that often. So you can just keep those tucked away and just pull them out when you're required to do so. And then on the other side of this particular box, I have all the artifacts. You might pull artifacts every once in a while, but not like items. You're not going to be pulling them out on a regular basis. But yeah, I just have this little made divider inside here. It keeps all of my cards separated, so that way I can keep them tucked away. This particular box, I need to get another one of these trays so I can get rid of this little box that I made here. But inside this right now, I just have my companions. I have the crafting cards. I haven't opened this and used it yet. And I have the heirlooms. Again, you're only going to pull an heirloom at the beginning of the game, and that's it. You're done. You don't need to keep those cards out. Companions will come up during game, but you don't need to have a stack of cards out. And since I'm not really doing the crafting stuff, I don't need to keep those out. I just made this little box off a Dragon Shield box until I can make another one of the plastic ones. And all of that stuff is kept in this box. And I try to, so when I'm putting stuff away, when I store my games, I store them vertically. So I try to put everything away so that way when this box is tipped up, the heavier things are down towards the bottom. This is just more of box management. So that's just how I kind of put everything away. And this fits beautifully. The two little small totes here, or these little plastic things, they come, they're just a little bit above the lip of the box, but not enough to make a difference. And if I really wanted to, I could go out and buy more of these and put all of my cards in them and really fill this thing up with these little plastic totes. But I don't know if everything would fit if I did that. But this is what I have right now. Now I got one more box I want to show you. The last box is where I keep all my paper products. So I keep my initiative board, the world map board, all of the books. So I have the main rule book, story journals. There's 4 different story journals for this game, which is awesome. And then I have the adventure creator kit. So if I wanted to create my own adventure, I could do that. I also have the GM board. So the GM board is something I found at my local game store. It's actually really cool looking. I don't play with a GM, but they made a board at one time and it's just full of charts inside. It's just really neat. And then I have all of the like 12 by 12. I think that they're actually 10 by 10, but I just have all of the different all the different encounter boards, and I keep them in their original plastic, and I don't mix them up. I keep them separated by the expansion, because if I'm playing one of the particular expansions, I'm only going to be using the encounter boards from that expansion. And I do the same thing here as I do with the cards and the tokens, is I keep everything down to one side. So this way, when I put this box away on my shelf and I set it up vertically, all the weight is down here. This is a very heavy box once you get all this paper in there. But this, I keep one box just full of the paper products. So that's how I organize Folklore the Affliction. I have my tokens organized, I have my cards organized, I have my paper products organized. So this way when I'm playing, I just have to have the things out that I need for the game at that time, and everything else can be put away. But if I need to find something, I can get to it quickly, because I know I have these boards all separated by the expansions. So if I'm playing in the core set, I just need the one bag. I know where my tokens are quickly. I know where my cards are quickly. The only cards I really have out on my table when I'm playing are going to be the item cards, because I'll be pulling from those no matter if I'm on the world board or an encounter board, and then I'll have my character stuff. Now characters can get a little hard to manage on the table, especially solo and you're playing multiple characters. So let's get into that. So this part of the video, I'm going to talk more about managing the chaos that can be keeping track of a character. And what do I mean by that? So all of your characters come with this little folder. This folder is basically the starting point for creating a character. It gives you a little story about the witch hunter. You get to choose your character's focus. So you have 2 different possibilities of things you can do. So you choose your character focus. Inside here, it gives you your starting abilities, your starting equipment, gives you a chart here that talks about extra things you could do when you're in a town at these different places. And on the back, you have your lore tree, that each character has their own specific lore tree of how they can improve and grow as a character. This is all fantastic stuff, very much like a role-playing game, and I love it. And then you have a character card. This is going to give you your stats. This is going to state again the starting equipment. If you can have any mystic knowledge, like I can have prayers here. The cleric can also just have prayers, but that means I can't have rituals, because rituals would be more of an occult aspect. Then you have another special ability, and then you have your keywords. Keywords are important because certain things can only happen if you have the keyword. This is one side. It shows you your miniature. On the back side, this is your ghost version. So if you ever die or go to 0 hit points, you become a ghost. You can still play. This game is not about killing off characters. This game is really about the story and the immersion in the story. So if you do go to 0 hit points, you turn to a ghost, you can still play your character, but you're going to want to get to the gypsies and get converted back into a normal person, get your rest, get yourself back up to full health. So when you're creating your character, you start with these 2 cards, and then you got to go through the ability cards, grab your abilities, go through the equipment pack, grab your piece of equipment, and grab a bandage token. So now you already have 2 large cards, 3 small cards, and a token just for this one character, and you haven't even started playing yet. And whenever you're using certain weapons, like the crossbow here, this only has 3 shots during an encounter, and you need to track that during play. And what you're supposed to do is take a little cube and put it on here and mark it down. This is where I just use the D6, the white D6, and I'll just count them down. But yeah, you only get to use the crossbow 3 times in combat. And then you got these abilities, which, again, this becomes kind of a lot on the board and your stats. Then as you're playing, as you start going through your encounter, you're going to get more cards. So that's where you start by building a character. You got to keep this out because you got to have this information available to you because this is your character's focus. You want to have all these cards out because that's a reminder of those abilities. You can just use the folder if you want. Nothing saying you have to have the physical cards, but you might as well pull them out. And then you got to remember this special ability, and then these are your stats. And once you start playing the game, you're going to start getting more cards. And those cards are going to have an impact on your stats. Those cards might give you other abilities, or you might get other weapons. You might gain more tokens. You can always find more bandages or holy water, all kinds of different tokens in the game. You might even get a condition. That's another token you got to keep track of. And when you're playing solo and you've got all this stuff stacked on your characters, and you go to move something because you want to set up your encounter board, or something happens during gameplay and you might shift stuff around and you might lose a card, it might go underneath something. It can be challenging, and it gets a little bit too much on the table. Now there are a few suggestions that you can do to eliminate some of the cards that you have to keep for your characters. They have created these character sheets. You've got a main character sheet, which keeps track of your statistics and conditions and things like that. And you have your main numbers over here. And as you gain additional cards or modifiers or bonuses, you can just keep track of them. Here are your skills, and you can write all your bonus stats down and any of the modifiers. And you just keep updating these as you add modifiers to make things easier. You keep track of your gold and your lore. Really great system. Then on the back, you have inventory sheets and places to keep additional information, your lore progress, just really good stuff. And then this sheet is for session records, like who's playing and stuff like that. But they did create these character sheets. They do come in handy when you're trying to eliminate the number of cards that you're keeping on your board, because you can just update them. However, these are really small, and you can't really write a lot of additional information. Hunting around online, I found this sheet, which it's just a little bit bigger than the actual printed material. It's laid out a little bit differently. It's not just a copy of these. And this works a lot better because you can always, on the back of this, write additional notes if you wanted to. But you have one sheet to keep track of everything. They actually put the Vita and the PowerPoint trackers on here, and your gold. I don't use it. Again, I use the spin down dials. It makes it a lot easier. But these work. These are really good. And here is an example of my witch hunter is in mid-game. And I'll just write all my information down, and I'll keep track of my stats. And this helps me keep cards off the table. because if I get a card that gives me a bonus to my defense or something for my stride or whatever I get the card for, I just mark it in the box, update the number, and I'm good to go. And I don't have to keep the card readily available. I just have a record sheet. But you still lack any real place to write your additional abilities unless you're writing them on the back. And you just don't have a lot of place to write a lot of different information on here. And you can't really write a lot of detailed information about the things that you're finding and the different stuff like that. So what I started doing is I started keeping a journal. Now, the thing that I like about Greenbrier Games is they put all of the character card information online for you to download as a PDF. And what I did is I just printed it out on an 8.5 by 11 sticker sheet of paper. And I just kind of cut out the pieces that I needed and put it in a journal. So I have like 4 different spreads per character. The first spread, I just have a little bit of information about the witch hunter, wrote down their keywords. But if I want to write any narrative information about my particular character, I've left myself some room to do that. On the other side, I have the location features, or the extra things my character can do at the different locations. I don't use that very often, so I just put it next to the title page. And then I took my character focus and my abilities and I put them all on one sheet so it's easily accessible. And then on the other side, I wrote down the special ability off of this character card and just wrote it down in here. I took the equipment, wrote it down, and then I just do like little boxes. So if I have multiple bandages, I'll just have multiple boxes, and I just keep that updated when I'm playing my games. If I use it, I cross it out. And then after the adventure is over and I go back to town and I resupply, I just update the information. Any additional weapons I get, I just write them down. I don't keep the cards out. My companions, I just write the information down. Then on the last spread, I have my lore tree. And then as I level up, I just start writing it down as I'm leveling up just to keep track of it. Even though it is also written down here, I like to keep it in a journal because I'm still kind of going back and forth between the two of these, trying to figure out which one works better. So far, I found that it's kind of a balance. This is really helpful, having this top section with conditions and my stats. I don't find this information too helpful, but I do find keeping track of it in my journal just makes it work a little bit better because like I have the hacker, it's +5 might, d6 damage, 1 hand, 35 coins. I have all the information I need from the card in my journal. So if I ever get rid of the weapon, I can just erase it. I can't really write a lot of information on this. So I'm kind of finding a balance where this is really helpful up here, but keeping the journal for everything else is helpful for keeping track of stuff. And what I like about it is before I play a game, I can go back and I can refresh and kind of bring myself back up to speed on all of my stats and things that are going on for my character, and just makes playing a lot easier because I'm not having to go through a stack of cards and remember which card goes with who. And yes, I have a sheet I can look at, but then I don't have the cards on the table when I'm playing. Like if I have to move everything over, I just slide that over and then I can do whatever I have to do, and then I can just refer to these when I need them. I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at with managing my characters, trying to keep my table clear of all the clutter. And because of the way I am keeping notes in my journal about my characters after I've pulled cards or anything that I need, I actually just keep everything in the folders. So cards that I pulled during the game session, I'll keep them out. I don't want to put them back into the pile of cards. If I get the storybooks, I'll leave those out, obviously. And then I'll have all the character cards out. I play with the world event cards, so whatever world event is taking place for this particular story, I'll keep that in this envelope as well. This one happens to be Season of Change, which basically means the market's closed right now, so I can't do anything at the market when I go to a town. But yeah, so after I pull a card and I write it down in my journal, there's no reason to keep it on the table. I just throw it in the bag with the rest of them. And it just, again, it's all about keeping stuff off the table. And it really, everything I'm doing with this makes the game a lot easier to get onto the table because everything's organized, everything's situated. The only other thing I do during gameplay is I just have some scrap paper out to keep notes of everything that I'm doing, especially since I'm using the rules that Daniel talks about on the dungeon dive with the solo running 2 characters and changing the Vita for the encounters. So I do find that helpful. So that's kind of what I'm doing to manage my Folklore the Affliction games on the table. This game is just an awesome experience, a real immersive campaign story, lots of fun to play. However, the table management can get a little unruly. That's why I'm really trying to eliminate as much from the table when I'm playing, so that way I can move things around and I can set up my encounter boards easily, and it just makes the game a lot more enjoyable to play. So thank you for watching and have a great day.